Hi, everybody. One of the most pressing questions that I receive when at the clinic is that majority of the women don't really understand when they are about to ovulate, what would be the fertile period, when is the time they should be trying, especially when trying for a conception. So in this video, I'm going to quickly tell you a few ways in which you can track your fertility at home that can give you so much insight about your own cycle. It will help you understand exactly when you are ovulating. It will help you understand your fertile period. And also, you will be able to understand what would be the days when you have the best chance of conceiving and when would you be trying so that we have a good chance for you to conceive in that particular cycle. So let me just begin with the video. I'm going to quickly share my screen. Okay, I hope my screen's clear. Just give me 1 second. There you go. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to quickly tell you what is it that we will do to track your fertility. Now, there are 4 basic techniques that we would be using in order to track your fertility at home. The first one being your basal body temperature. The second one, your cervical fluid, the cervical position, and the ovulation predictor kits. I'm going to quickly go through each one of this in a little bit of detail so that you understand what am I trying to tell you here. Now, the first very important sign when it comes to tracking your fertility is your basal body temperature. It can tell you so much about which phase of the cycle are you in, when did you ovulate, which was your peak day, etc., and whether you are having a good follicular phase of the cycle, whether the days after your ovulation until the next cycle is good enough for implantation to happen. So, what do I mean by a basal body temperature? The basal body temperature is basically the temperature that your body has as soon as you wake up. So, what do you have to do to measure it? Is that please get a digital thermometer for your own self. Now, what you have to do is keep this digital thermometer at the bedside every day at night when you go to sleep. What you really have to do is you have to measure your body temperature as soon as you wake up in the morning. Now, you have to do this even before you get up from the bed, even before you do any form of activity. This is the very first thing that you do so that we do not have any discrepancies in the reading. Also, try and measure your temperature around the same time every single day. So, let's say you wake up at 7 in the morning every single day. Please make sure that you measure your temperature around the same time. So, what do? You wake up, you put this on, and you either put this in the mouth or in the axilla, and you measure your temperature until this thing starts to beep. So after 1 minute, once it beeps, you're going to record the temperature. So let's say my temperature today is 97.2. So what I really do is that coinciding with that particular day in the cycle. So let's say I am on day 5 of my cycle. So on the day 5, about the 97, the 2, that's what I'm going to circle. So I circle the 97, 2. I will repeat the same process every single day. So then it's going to be, let's say 97.4, 97, 97.1. So every single day, all I have to do is circle that particular temperature so that I can form a graph of what's really happening with my basal body temperatures at the end of the month. Now, let me tell you the significance of this. What really happens is that when you ovulate in a particular cycle, after ovulation, there is a hormone called as progesterone that is released in the body. And the progesterone hormone is also called the heat producing hormone. So this causes a slight rise in your basal body temperature. So in that case, what you notice is that the temperatures that were originally in the lower end of the spectrum have suddenly risen. So my temperature instead of a 97.1, 97.5 has suddenly gone to a 98, 98.2, 98.3. So you will notice a shift in the temperatures. We call this the biphasic pattern. So there are 2 phases in the temperature that you notice, and that is a sign that you've ovulated. Let me show you a chart here. Now, this is a very typical chart, right? In this, like you see, there was like the temperatures were towards the lower range, and then suddenly there's like a shift in the temperature that's happened, and they've gone to the higher spectrum. Now, whenever you notice this temperature shift, that means you ovulated 1 day prior. So let's say you noticed a temperature shift on day 18. That means I have already ovulated on the day 17. So although the basal body temperature will not tell you that the ovulation is coming and let's make the most of those days, it is simply used to confirm ovulation. But when you combine it with the other signs, it just makes you so much more confident about identifying your ovulation. So this is the first thing that you are going to track. The second sign that we're going to look at is your cervical fluid. Now, what exactly is the cervical fluid? So, your cervical fluid is the discharge that you have from the cervix. So, cervix is the opening of the uterus, it's the discharge that you experience. So, now in the cervical fluid description, what I want you to write is that every single day of the period, what's the kind of discharge that you experience? So let's say initially for the first 5 days, it's your period. So I want you to note down what kind of a period it is, whether it's spotting, it's heavy, it's light, what exactly it is. Then as you progress ahead, I want you to note what is it that you've been feeling. Okay, so I feel dry today. You write down dryness. I'm feeling some form of wet feeling today. You note that down. I'm feeling a more sticky discharge today. You note that down. Every time you use the washroom, try and figure out what's the sensation that you've been feeling between the lips of your labia, right? Is it wet? It is lubricated? It is dry? And try and make a note of it so that we can try and understand that at what phase of cycle, what kind of discharge do you have, all right? Now, primarily, the discharges that we notice is mainly dryness. It could be creamy discharge. It could be an egg white, stressy discharge. So we primarily have to try and make sense of what is really happening. Okay, so this is the second thing that we would be doing. Also, this is something very important. So you will notice that when you are about to approach ovulation, the discharge is suddenly more. So you are noticing a little more wet discharge. There is more creaminess, more sticky discharge. So as soon as you start feeling some form of wet discharge, it's an indication that your fertile period is coming. So then it's more important for you to try and maintain relation on those days. Okay, this is the second most important thing that we do. Um, Again, if you see here, it's combined the basal body temperature with the cervical discharge. So you will notice that she was having a more creamy, a more egg whitey discharge as she was approaching ovulation. So before ovulation, the 2 days, she's had a very good discharge. And then suddenly she's also had a temperature shift, which is an indication that, okay, now I am 100% sure that I've ovulated in this particular cycle. This is the second sign that we'll be noticing. The third sign is the cervical position. Now, like I originally said, the cervix is the opening of the uterus. So, right above the vagina, you notice the cervix. Now, the position of the cervix usually changes depending on what phase of the cycle you are in. So, our body is really, I would say, intelligent. It really wants to take good care of you. So, the cervix closes. When you are not ovulating because it wants to keep the infections outside. And when you are approaching ovulation, the cervix becomes soft and it opens a little because now it wants to make way for the sperms to travel inside the uterus. That is why cervical position is another way you can know. Now, cervical position is an optional sign. If you can understand how to track it, well, that's great. For some women, it does get a little difficult to track it because they can't really get a hold of their cervix. So, well, that's also absolutely fine. So, I'm just going to tell you if you can do it well and good. If not, that's also okay. Now, how do you check your cervical position? Um, this is how you check it. So, you basically sit in the squatting position. You wash your hands with soap and water. Make sure you've trimmed your fingers. Insert your middle finger inside your vagina and try and feel what you're feeling there, right? Now you will start feeling something over there. The main key features of the cervix is that it's usually hard when you are not ovulating. As soon as you start coming closer to ovulation, you will notice that, it's become very soft. It feels like lip, right? It's a very soft thing that you can feel there, which is like an indication that, okay, my cervix has softened, which is another indication that I'm approaching ovulation. Now, we also try and figure out how high is the cervix. So the cervix is usually low when you are not ovulating, and it becomes a little high when you are about to ovulate because it wants to clear the passage for the sperms to enter, and so that the penetration can also go deeper and the man can ejaculate really close to the opening of the cervix. So we kind of do it low, medium, high. Depending on how much you can insert your finger and feel your cervix, you would then rate it low, medium, high. And depending on what you can feel, it's more firm, it's a little soft, it's medium. You will note that down on the chart. Now, let me just see where that is on the chart. I think that's not attached, but I'll definitely let you guys know how to do that. The fourth thing that we do is that along with all of this, you can also start using ovulation predictor kits. Now, what exactly is an ovulation predictor kit? Is that it's like a kit very similar to um, your pregnancy test, and it also helps you find out whether you are ovulating in a particular cycle. So this is an ovulation predictor kit, if you can see it, okay? And it will help you track your ovulation. This is what this looks like here. So just like the way you take a pregnancy test, you're going to pee on the stick and it's going to give you 2 lines, and then you're going to read it and figure out whether you are closer to your ovulation or not. Now, with the ovulation predictor kit, the primary thing is that you will always have 2 lines, right? Because it calculates your LH surge. LH is the hormone that's constantly present in the urine. So you might get a faint line. We do not consider that a positive. For an ovulation test to be considered positive, the 2 lines have to be an equally dark intensity. It's only then that we say your test is positive. So if you can see, as this female is approaching ovulation, the lines are getting darker and darker. And just before ovulation or when she's ovulated, the lines have become the same intensity. So around day 15, she's had like a dark pink line, which is an indication of that she's about to ovulate. And once you get a positive on the ovulation predictor kit, it is a sign that you will be ovulating within the next 12 to 24 hours. So the next 2 or 3 days are your peak fertile days, and you should definitely maintain relation on those. Now, I hope I have made myself very clear. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a message on my WhatsApp. And definitely, you have access to me, so you can do that as well. I would want all of you guys to fill the charts that have been given to you so that we can get a basic idea of how your cycle is progressing at a glance, and we can make so much more better decisions when it comes to your own health. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this entire presentation has been clear for you guys.